there's a whole world of trouble that comes along with that, I'm sure.
Right.
So my whole focus was, how do we get support to women who need it? Either because they feel isolated, whether they are or they aren't, or if they don't have the money to do all the niceties you need to do to take care of yourself.
Right.
I'm sure it is costly to have reconstruction. I'm sure products you need are costly. I am sure the time it takes if you're in chemo or during your surgery, somebody's watching your kids. Well, I've always, again, the organization, my company and me, I always worry about, what about people who don't have the money? What if you've got a single mom who's raising 3 kids by herself and she's already working 2 jobs and she gets diagnosed?
Welcome to a new edition of City on a Hill. I'm your host, Whitney Mendoza. And yes, it is a new edition, but we have an amazing returning guest, Amy Rees of Personality Plates. And that's because you have a whole new collection we're talking about today.
I do. My second line has come out.
I'm so excited.
I'm very excited.
We're just going to go ahead and get this out of the way. Yes, okay. I did inspire. The eye color... what did you call it? Creative license?
I took artistic license and gave you green eyes.
That's
Not
okay.
that there's anything wrong with your brown eyes. But,
yes, thank you.
For the color palette.
I see. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. The green matches.
The green matches.
So tell us, this is the Sisters in Pink collection.
Yes, ma'am.
If you missed our first episode, go check it out because you'll get the foundation of Personality Plates. But for those who didn't hear that first episode, walk us through what is Personality Plates and then how this collection differs from your very first collection.
Sure. So our mission is all about celebrating women, connecting women with each other, while also giving back to the community and helping women in need.
Yeah.
And the first set was the original set, the Sisters first edition. Of course, sisters used loosely, as in your friends and your sisters, and right, because our friends are our sisters, and some of them become family, right? So that's pretty much the whole premise of. And we have our new mission statements and our new the cornerstone of, which is personality, passion, and purpose. So that kind of helps answer that question, I think. So our second line...
I was just thinking your name
you were
should have
going
been...
somewhere.
No, I was thinking like your name should have been something with a P, like...
I can change my name legally.
Patty, but something better. We don't want Patty.
You all call me Miss
something...
Personality.
Well, that technically works, yes.
So the second line, the collection, again, will have the stoneware plates, dishwasher safe, food safe, microwave safe, that you can eat off of. Plus, they will have matching wine charms to match the collection. We'll be doing scarves and potentially some other products down the line that we're looking
very
into.
Exciting.
But this set is very special, and special to me because we're going to be giving 10% of the proceeds back to an organization called It's the Journey. And that they sponsor the Georgia 2-day walk. So this set, as you can kind of see, Sisters in Pink, breast cancer awareness. And I've got a story that kind of goes with that, but which do you want to hear first? Why it's the journey, or why am I giving back to breast cancer?
Yes. Let's start at the foundation of the why, because I feel like I've heard you just in our conversations tell parts of this story, but there was something as I was rereading that I'm sure you mentioned and I totally forgot that I thought it was, I don't want to say shocking, but kind of shook what I knew about women and breast cancer because in 1959, your mother, Bobbi, was it's believed that she's the youngest person at the age of 18. This was in
at that time in 1959.
To have a mastectomy.
Yes, that's what they believed. And again, communication wasn't as easy, then as it is now.
Right.
You couldn't just Google So, they had their medical journals. And yes, so she was written up in a medical journal at that time in Syracuse because they felt she was the youngest person who had had a mastectomy at that time.
And I'd love for you to tell the story of, because, I'm reading this and I'm thinking any type of cancer is scary. Mm-hmm. And then from what I've heard from other survivors, the thing about breast cancer is it often women who go through this feel like it took away something that made them a woman at their core. And then to be 18 and to be the first person to undergo that type of surgery that at that age. Yeah. So kind of tell us, this is your mom. So what has she shared with you? And then, I'd love to know what she thinks too, because I know Absolutely. At the time, that journey happened then, and she probably never imagined what it would mean today. So I'm just going to open the mic to you for you to share the story.
Okay, yeah. So I found out really early on. I was young. My mom was always open about it with me. I think the first most interesting thing to share is, I'm an only child, for those that don't know. And
which were kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Only children.
We're both only children. So as an only child, it's a different dynamic with your mom.
Yeah.
And when I was 6 years old is when she told me. And of course, I don't remember her telling me. I just always remember knowing that she had the mastectomy. And again, I think we may have to explain to people that in 1959, there was no reconstruction.
Right.
So obviously she has, the missing breast and a big scar that she's lived with her whole life, starting at 18.
Wow.
And as a kid, though, I think this will be interesting, is it was never the fear of death from breast cancer. Because even for her memory and her experience was never around, I'm going to die. Because by the time she was diagnosed, they raced in there. It was a life-saving mastectomy, and then it was done. So she didn't even have time to process that she could have died. And again, 18-year-olds, let's be honest, most 18-year-olds think they are invincible. They don't think about that stuff. They take lots of risks. So it was never a fear of death for her. And I wasn't raised thinking that way either. For her, it was about, I use this word loosely because it's not a nice word, and I'm sure nobody wants to be thought this way, but my mom's words herself are deformity. She felt deformed because of the missing breast and how she was different than anybody else. Again, in 1959, there's not this big open, online community to talk to. So she was really by herself. She didn't know anybody else who'd gone through it. And we're coming out with the press release, and my mom's whole story is in there. And I will also have it on my website. So, shameless plug, personalityplates.com. Visit the website, and you can read my mom's whole story, because it is quite a story of her waking up in the hospital to strangers in her room, taking pictures of her poking and prodding like she was a science experiment instead of an 18-year-old child. Yeah. This is the kind of stuff she went through. And then, if you can imagine the 60s and the 70s, again, it was not really talked about, well known. There was no, I'm going to Google where to get a breast form. I'm going to Google where to get a bathing suit. It was very hard for her to find places to get the clothing she needed, the bras she needed. And so as a kid, I remember that. And that was a journey that I watched her, and she just took it all for granted. Like, she never complained, never. But as a kid watching this, I thought, why does she have to go through so much? Like, it should not be this hard to get the right bra, to get a replacement prosthesis and bathing suits. I mean, that was just horrible. Yeah. I always felt very bad for her. And again, she never complained about it. But I just thought it always bothered me, right? And even today, when I was coming up with this line, that's what I kept thinking of, is like, I can't imagine, what if women are still people who don't have access, right, to funding, or don't have access to communication of where to go and what to do. So for her, it was more about her deformity and being different and fitting into society and what she had lost than breast cancer being scary itself. Yeah. Which I think, so it's a different kind of take. Right. Right, than what other people worry about at the age of 30, 40.
Yeah. Well, and even the awareness of it, right? Because the catching it early, the making sure that you are screened, the what you even look for and feel for, the stage at which you catch it to even know, okay, do I need some type of surgery or do I not? Like just all the things that go along with that. And then again, the fact that she was 18 years old is just the worst thing that I had to worry about at that age was big hair and glasses and braces.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And she's going through life literally transformed.
Yeah. And she always, to hear her tell it, when she was that age, in her thoughts were always, I'm never going to have, the life everybody else has. Right? She never thought she'd find love or a husband. She never even imagined that she'd have children because she was, different, changed, felt the way she felt about herself. And, so again, the focus on why is it important to me is what you just said, that it's all about awareness. It's all about awareness and communication, which is available today, but I still feel like there's still that stigma, right? Like if you haven't, I haven't had it. So, it's easy for people to say,
right.
Oh, but it's okay. It's normalized now. And this, everything's available to you and it's okay and nobody will see you differently. I don't think it's so much for them how they worry about other people see them, it's how they see themselves. So I think about women going through this who may not have a support system. Like my mom didn't have a support system. 18-year-old in 1959. There are no support groups. And again, if you read the whole story, which will be available, it's about the fact that they and my mom says, we think it's maybe my grandma and the doctors. We have no idea where it came from, but they decided it would be kept a family secret to protect her so nobody would look at her differently. But passing that on to an 18-year-old, now she thinks she's a secret. So she never even could tell any of she never even told her best friend.
Wow.
So she had nobody to talk to. She felt very isolated because she had nobody to talk to. She avoided doing things. She would never do sleepovers.
Oh, wow.
Imagine going to college.
Right, yes.
Being in a sorority, but you don't sleep over at the sorority house.
Right, yes.
You race home at the end of the day.
Right.
You go home because you don't think, you're not going to look like everybody else. And that to me is trauma that, again, she kind of wiped it clean. She's always, I think, going through something like that. And she did find my dad, and my dad just adored her, and we were a very tight family. And I think she even told my reaction at 6 was so like, okay, right? Like it didn't mean anything to me. My lack of reaction made her feel good. She remembers that still, that I just didn't care. I think she was even afraid to tell her 6-year-old daughter. But, I loved that was my mommy, right? So I didn't care. So I think she's just had, as an adult, such love and support that she has always only looked forward. She just doesn't look back. She just doesn't talk about it as, I'm the one bringing it out. I had to bring it out in her. And this was probably pretty tough for her because a lot of people don't know her story. Yeah. Because she's quiet about it. And again, in her mind, that's in the past. I have a great life. I have nothing to complain about. So she doesn't even think of it that way.
So what was that process like? How did you decide I want to do a specific collection to commemorate this, bring awareness, and then what led you to partnering with It's the Journey?
Yeah, well, as I said, I'm really close to my mom. So I had been thinking, we've had really great success with the plates when we were doing, when we were giving back to organizations that are around women. And I feel like my customers, my people are very much about giving back. So it made me start thinking that way. And again, my mom, breast cancer, and I kind of went inside myself and I thought I wouldn't want anybody to go through what my mom went through, what I watched her being alone and isolated and not knowing where to go or what to do for, again, the clothing and the changes. Now they have a lot of reconstruction, but there's still there's a whole world of trouble that comes along with that, I'm sure.
Right.
So my whole focus was, how do we get support to women who need it, either because they feel isolated, whether they are or they aren't, or if they don't have the money to do all the niceties you need to do to take care of yourself.
Right.
I'm sure it is costly to have reconstruction. I'm sure products you need are costly. I am sure the time it takes if you're in chemo or during your surgery, somebody's watching your kids. Well, I've always, again, the organization, my company, and me, I always worry about, what about people who don't have the money? What if you've got a single mom who's raising 3 kids by herself and she's already working 2 jobs and she gets diagnosed? Who's going to help take care of the kids? How's she going to get childcare? Who's going to drive her to the hospital for her treatment or her surgery? And that kind of stuff just upsets me when I think about it. And then I found It's the Journey. And It's the Journey is, I wrote it down so I would word it right. They provide funds they've provided funds for over 509 grants to date for vital breast health services.
Okay.
So nonprofits and organizations and hospitals and companies that do like what we just talked about, which help women who can't afford to help themselves. There's a whole variety of organizations like that. They apply for grants, and It's the Journey provides funding.
Okay. And they are based in Georgia.
They are based in Georgia, and the grants are for Georgia-based companies and nonprofits.
Okay.
So they provide, so they've done over, I think it's close to $19 million that they have raised for over 500 different grants.
Wow. And I love that because you mentioned exactly where the money's going, which I think is very important.
Yes.
And especially for us being in, Atlanta, Georgia. You're Atlanta-based, we're Atlanta-based, and so knowing that you're giving back and helping the local Atlanta community, I think is just really beautiful.
Yes. And again, It's the Journey to me is a great cause because there are so many breast cancer awareness organizations, and everybody's always looking for a piece of us, right? We're always getting, can you donate here and donate there? Well, with It's the Journey, they show full transparency at all times. If you go to their website,
which is great.
If you go to their website, you can access their financials. You will see a list of all the organizations that have received grants. Also, which I think is really cool, they only have 6 employees, and they do the jobs of 20 people. Of
course,
right? Yes. They really bust their butts, and what that does is it keeps, and they don't spend a lot of money on advertising, right? So you know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
Historically, over 90% of the funds raised go directly into the grants.
That's great. It's exactly how it should be.
And so, of course, that's why I chose to partner with them on this.
Yeah.
So, 10% will go back of the sales. And I know that now since COVID, I think, and you can see again on their website, they show everything, full transparency at all times. I think because of COVID, it dropped down to like 85% or 87% or something like that. But their goal is to get it back to over 90%, which is fantastic.
Well, and, I think donations and giving were also impacted by COVID. And so, absolutely, I think we're seeing a resurgence in that. And we're always looking for, just as you said, even when we want to give back and we have these specific causes that we want to donate to, as a donor, our biggest question is, where is it going? Is it actually going to the people who need it? Okay, so 10% of all of the Sisters in Pink personality plates collection is going back to It's the Journey. So personalityplates.com.
Yep.
Are they available now?
They are not available now. I'm going to, I don't know actually when this is going to officially air.
So we're the 2-day walk with It's the Journey for breast cancer awareness is in October.
October 7th and 8th.
Okay.
And before then, I'll be opening pre-orders.
Beautiful.
So if everybody who's walking will have access to pre-orders, but I will also open it online for pre-orders.
Awesome.
So, and I would hope to have them all in stock before Christmas. So if people are placing orders in October, we should be able to get them in their hands so we can get them out before the Christmas rush.
And October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Nice.
So I'm already wearing my It's the Journey.
I see. And you're pink.
And I'm wearing
You're
my pink.
representing pink everywhere.
I'm representing pink, trying to match my plates. And
Yeah.
I'm getting a little head start. And back to the plates for just a moment. They will be a collector's edition.
Okay.
Because on the back, they're going to be stamped with the pink logo.
Very nice.
And
so typically it's the
Typically, this is the
maroon?
logo. This is our branding logo, is the maroon. But for this particular collection, they will exclusively have the pink logo. So they will be a collector set. And, I'm trying to make them a little more special, again, because it's special to me. My mom, I'm helping women, and, of course, it's the journey.
Yeah. Well, I just thinking through this, because as I was prepping for the show, and I need to learn more about the story, even in my own family, because I know on my grandmother's side, breast cancer runs in the family, and there was a dear sister, Tina, that she had, that we have pictures in her home, but they lost her to breast cancer, and I never got the opportunity to meet her. But I hear all these amazing stories about her, but I don't know the when. Like, I don't know how old she was or any of those things. But that's one of the things that I really took away from this. Even though breast cancer hasn't impacted me directly, it has in my family. And I think most of us, unfortunately, right? Like, this is not
unusual.
Yeah, that someone is impacted that isn't too far removed from us. And so it just encouraged me. I was like, I really need to ask more about this story, because women bear so much that we don't reveal. I mean, from breast cancer, other illnesses, miscarriages, these are all things that we didn't talk about now, and truth be told, we're still really not talking about it.
I know that there's kind of that, it may not be taboo anymore, but it doesn't mean people are openly talking about
100%. We're really not. And so I think this is just, you're accomplishing what you set out to do with these, because that's just another way, because I was like, I want to get my grandmother a set and just inspire that story of the whole reason why this particular collection was created was for breast cancer awareness, and hear those stories. So I think you're going to accomplish exactly what you wanted to do with this.
I hope so too. I mean, we talk about it so much, but the reality is, I am sure of all of our listeners, there's going to be a large percentage that thinks, I probably need to schedule that mammogram, because they haven't, even though they wanted to and they meant to. And use my mom as an example. I think she found the lump at like 15 or 16 years old, and was just afraid to say anything. Probably just didn't buried her head in the sand, as we say. And then by 18, when it was a little too obvious to hide anymore, that's when she came clean. And, for us, it's all about awareness. And I would hope that women gift these sets to their friends who are survivors, so that every time they use them, they can, feel honored and celebrated as a survivor. I would also like women to gift them to each other, and to buy the set as a reminder every time they use the plate. They should definitely remember, have I been doing breast checks? Am I checking on my mammogram? Have I done my mammogram? Am I doing my breast checks? This just needs to be a reminder. And I think a physical reminder that's pretty and fun to look at is a much nicer way than just putting it on your calendar.
Well, before we go, I definitely want to make sure we mention two things, because number one, for the walk in October, you have a team.
Yes, I'm putting my team. Yes, I'm putting my team together, and we will have a link that people can go to.
Perfect.
And I will put the link on personalityplates.com,
Okay.
which will be an easy way. We'll share it via social media.
Okay. So
but
people
we'll
can
also-
sign up to walk. They can sign up to donate.
Yeah. And
Additionally
it's a
that way.
virtual walk.
Okay.
Mostly because Friday I'm having a booth at their event, so I will be working.
Okay.
It would
Very
be hard
nice.
to prep for the physical walk, so that's why. But we're doing a virtual walk, and we will still raise funds. And remember, again, almost 90% of those funds will go directly to the cause.
Nice.
So when you're considering which breast cancer organization to give to, hopefully they'll think of us.
Yeah. And I want you to give examples that we were talking about just earlier this week of ways to gift this, because
Sure.
even if you buy a set, so like a lot of the women are like, what if I've got somebody that I know in this moment is going through treatment and I want to give her something to just let her know I'm thinking about her and praying for her. You're talking about buying a whole set and giving one, but putting maybe treats with it, putting
Yeah.
maybe socks if they're in the hospital undergoing
Yeah.
surgery, and obviously it gets super freezing in there. So
Yeah.
give us some idea, because I love the creativity that you have around this.
Yeah, and what you said, right? So we've always said with any of the sets of plates, you can buy a set of 4, you can still break them up and give 4 different friends a plate, right? So if you're using it for awareness and you kind of have your pack
Yeah.
of friends and you're like, we all need to remember to get a mammograms, and you know darn well your friends aren't. Hey, buy the set, break them up, and you each keep one, and that's your reminder to get your, do your breast health, right? Somebody's in the hospital, buy them a set, maybe do a gift basket with the plates and some other products, like you said, right? Scarves and blankets, but also the plates, that special gift, that unique collectible gift. Also, as we were getting ready to show on our YouTube channel, you can take individual ones and make individual charcuterie.
Nice.
So you can gift it. You could buy the set of 4 and create charcuterie and saran or special wrap
Yeah,
it
yeah.
and deliver it to your neighbors. So imagine if you've
nice.
got and yes, they're pink and they are raising money for breast cancer, but people are you don't have to be a breast cancer survivor to use the plate.
Right.
Again, we talk about just honoring women. What you're doing is you're saying, I'm aware that people have fought breast cancer.
Yeah.
Right? And I want to remind my friends that they need to check and get mammograms.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of reasons. And again, like you said, sweets or stuff. But I love that people were making individual charcuterie and gifting them to somebody with individual charcuterie on them.
I love that.
Or treats or sweets. Teachers, they're great teacher gifts. So if you're doing,
Yeah.
your kid has, let's be honest, there are still a higher percentage of women teachers than male teachers, especially in elementary schools.
Yeah.
And it's always time for teacher appreciation.
And you want to be different, stand
And you
out.
want to be different. You don't want to go to, no offense, you don't want to go to Starbucks and get another gift card
Yeah.
and put it on the desk, or more chocolates. Buy the set of 4, but break them up and put something on each plate.
Homemade cookies, brownies, all
Whatever you
that
wanna
good
do,
stuff.
or even the apple for the teacher.
Yeah.
Put it on the plate. And
Yeah.
Leave it on the desk, right? So
Very
there's,
nice.
There's a lot of ways to gift them and a lot of reasons to gift them.
Yeah. When I gifted sets for Christmas this past year, so they're unique. It's different, especially for that person that you're like, I don't know what to get them, and it's something meaningful. And again, understanding that 10% of this collection is going back to It's the Journey, but not only that, you're supporting a women-owned business. I love that, and local. If you're in Atlanta,
Yeah.
it's like 3 wins. I love it. All right, give everyone the site one more time.
Personalityplates.com. We are very easy to find, and you can follow us on social media too at either Amy Wynne Designs or Personality Plates.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming back on and sharing. I'm very excited for this launch. I know you are too.
I am too.
Awesome.
Thank you.